All right, I see our invocation is in, and it is 12 o'clock. So let us get this day started. It's March 16th. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Yesterday was the Ides of March. So I stabbed a Caesar salad just for the sake of doing it. And ring the bell for start the meeting. All right. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing well, praise the Lord.
Good. Let me mute everybody and then you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, today I thought I would share as an invocation something that I believe all of us experience at one point in our life, or probably more likely throughout our entire life. It's a little poem. It's entitled, "The Choice is Mine." Life may not let me choose my lot, but whether I'd be happy or not, that is my choice. To leave hurtful memories behind or allow them to bother my mind, the choice is mine. To fret over a mistake when it's done or learn from it and move on, the choice is mine. To be bothered by all what people say or ignore them and go my own way, the choice is mine. To hide my feelings pent up, unspoken, or say my mind at ease the burden, the choice is mine. To enjoy what I've been able to gain or ungratefully regard it with disdain, the choice is mine. Sometimes I won't get to pick my lot, but whether I'd be happy or not will always be my choice. Amen.
Amen. That is wise words. All right. Let's see here. Here we go, Ken Myers. Welcome, you're up.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. If
You are.
Place your hand over your heart and join me. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ken. And for our patriotic song today. All right, welcome to the Zoom meeting. No, don't laugh, Ron. You do. You have a passing resemblance there.
Certainly not in the musical talent zone.
Well, I wasn't going to go so far as to say that. But I would never credit.
To the honor or to Taylor?
Yes, exactly. So welcome. Our guest, we do have a guest today, our speaker, Dr. Pasha. Welcome. I don't see any other guests. Am I missing anyone here? Are there any visiting Rotarians I'm missing? All right. No. So Dr. Pasha, we have a tradition of welcoming all of our guests. Traditionally, again, we do it all together, but we discovered Zoom is not conducive to that. So here is our own Aussie.
Howdy, we're glad to have you here. Welcome, we sing it loud and clear. Relax, enjoy the program, and won't you come back to see us again?
All right, let's see here. I'm going to have to move a screen here for a second. So here's our calendar, upcoming calendar. Tomorrow is Haven House. This weekend is Veterans Stand Down Clothing Drive. If you haven't made a donation, or if you are able to join the group on Saturday to help load trucks and collect donations, that would be awesome. Next week, Robin Douglas is coming to visit us again. I'm still not sure what the program's on, but it may be Censorship Part 2 from what I can hear. 30th, we have District Governor visiting us. On the 6th, we have Blake Steinecke with a program. The 7th and the 21st are Haven House again. The 10th is District Training Assembly. Please sign up. It's free. It's online. It's easy to do. And the more people we get there, the happier the club ends up being. 13th, Second Serve, an innovative youth-led charity. On the 20th and 27th, we're going to have community grant recipient presentations. Alex is organizing this. It's actually going to be brilliant. Each of the recipients is actually going to give a brief description of what they're doing with the money. So that will be the program for the whole both of those days, and it's going to be really fun to hear directly from the recipients, just as a program, not as an aside to a program. So, member moments. We apparently do have one that Nick Sewell's brought up at the beginning. Nick, do you want to talk a little bit more detail? No, there we got to hear you, Nick.
I tried the space bar and it didn't work, but it's working now. Am I?
Yes.
Jackport has been a resident of Escondido, I think, for 90 years. He moved here when he was a child, and he last night passed away at the age of almost 99, which he would have turned on April 10th. He's been a friend of Rotary for decades, many decades. He's been a friend of many of us for many decades. He was a member of the County Board of Education for at least 20 years. I was just made aware that the meeting room, the boardroom at the County Board of Education is named after him. It's the Jackport boardroom. He's been a supporter of so many things here in Escondido. Notably, of the recent years, he has been attending the annual reunion on D-Day in Normandy. He was a lander at Utah Beach on D-Day in 1944. That was his first exposure to combat. He suffered 2 wounds separately, went back into combat after each one. He's had won the Purple Heart twice and several other medals that I've lost track of. I think one was a Bronze Star. He's a member of the French Legion of Honor. He won a medal there. He's met several presidents, and he's just a really all-around good guy. Just like you to keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. He's a good friend of many of us here in Rotary.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So someone's mocking my picture of Catalina that was taken on a cell phone. I apologize for that. I thought it was a pretty picture, but apparently it bugs people. I'm not taking offense. Let's see here. So another member moment we have. Christine, do you want to address this one? Or where's Christine? Christine not here?
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
Okay, here, sorry. I was doing something else. Yeah, this is our member Jade Olin, and under member moments, I thought I should announce, I was looking to see if Jade is here, that she's leaving the club.
Yeah.
She and her family are moving March 28th to Boise, Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, so excited for their, new adventure, and that's pretty exciting, but it's a loss to our club. So hopefully the next manager of Banner Bank will be willing to, come and fill that spot. But I thought I would mention it under member moments. If you get a chance to send her a note or give her a call before she moves.
Absolutely. Thank you. And as long as you're up, Christine, let's do Rotarians in the Wild.
Sure, here's some Rotarians in the wild. We have a couple of city Rotarians in the wild. The police chief, Ed Varso, gave a press conference last week, and Council Member Garcia was there talking about de-escalation with the police department. So did you want to say a word about that, Joe? Or maybe not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of brushing my teeth.
Oh,
Uh,
we all multitask.
I know.
Smells
I
much
know.
better in here. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for doing that.
So anyway, yeah, the only thing I would like to say is that all law enforcement officers in the county have to take this de-escalation training that is put on by the DA. But we have a police chief that actually went as far and committed to put the policy in writing. And I can't give you with 100% that we are the only police department that has a de-escalation policy in writing. But if we're not the only one, we're one of the very few. We have an excellent police chief, excellent administration, and great officers here in Escondido. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
You're welcome. He should be a Rotarian.
Amen to that.
Let's talk to someone who can put some pressure on him, either a council member or mayor. I don't know.
Or a nice, yeah, a nice invitation. Okay, next.
Oh, fine. Yep. Here, hang on. Multitasking. There we go.
And another city picture. Our mayor, Mac, had the opportunity to present a city certificate of recognition for the first female Eagle Scout in the Palomar area. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah. Okay, not as exciting, but still pretty cool. This is Greg Englia, and he says, because some days it just makes sense to rock granddad's shoes from the Sears catalog. Aren't those the coolest?
They bring back some really bad memories, honestly, but
This is our own Paulette with her husband, John. And yeah, we often see the birds and bees and flora and fauna. But this time we see Paulette in the flesh. So
so
out in
Paulette,
Borrego Springs.
first off, two things about this picture. There's no seat on that three-wheeler, and
Oh,
the front tire is flat.
oh,
You are correct. This is a destination. I guess, I don't know. It's a destination that off-roaders go to go see the three-wheeler that's on top of a mountaintop. That's actually kind of hard to get to if you don't have the right equipment, so to speak.
Okay, well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. That's a good eye. And this is Rick and Susan and their grandchildren. Where were you, Rick?
Where are you, Rick?
Mammoth? He's maybe still on mute.
Yeah.
There, finally, it's
There you
cooperating.
go.
Yes, we're in Mammoth Lakes.
Still.
If you can
Nice.
see in the background.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Very
There's nothing
cool.
better than vacation with the grandkids, that's for sure.
yeah.
Well, oh yeah. Okay, so while you're here, Rick,
Yes. It's
Rick
important.
has an announcement to make.
Yes, it's important that we keep up with current events. As I'm sure all of you know, the Big Ten tournament took place this past weekend. And the final game was between the University of Illinois and the Ohio State University. And the Illini eked out a hard-fought victory in overtime, 91-88, cementing their #1 seed in their bracket for the upcoming NCAA tournament, while Ohio State is relegated to a #2 seed.
It's unfortunate that Keith is actually in a Board of Supervisors meeting right now, because I would love to hear his take on this.
Yeah, I actually
But-
asked for permission to announce it.
But I want to say congratulations to the NAU of the Midwest for being the #1 seed.
Going to be fun.
So this weekend, we do have the Veterans Stand Down Clothing Drive. As mentioned, we're looking for used items to cleaned out from your garage or your closets, blankets, jackets, sweatshirts, towels, plus size clothing, especially suits or business attire. So some of our veterans can go out and do job hunting and interviews. Also new items, men's underwear, socks, women's underwear and socks, women's sports bras. You can go by the City Hall Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and drop the items off. If you want, you can join Keith and the team, probably Ron, I'm guessing, and 4 or 5 other people that are there every year who will be collecting all the goods and loading up the trucks with them. We may actually even have an item in the newspaper about this too. Also coming up in 2 weeks is an opportunity to spend a few hours with these amazing people and picking up trash down at Center City in the 78. This is our Adopt a Highway project. Don't miss it. It'll be fun. So I know Charito is on here. Oh, hike-a-thon. Yes. Give me a second, Alex, and you can talk about that in a second, okay? Keith, actually, why don't you go ahead, Alex, unmute, and if you want to talk about the hike-a-thon, and then I'll come back to this. Maybe Keith will get here by the time.
Okay, thank you, Andy. So starting this Saturday on the 20th, and then every first and third and fifth Saturday of the month, we do a hike-a-thon to raise additional funds for the Escondido Rotary Foundation this year, because our Florida Cuisine canceled 2 years in a row. The foundation, our club needs extra money. So everybody, right now I'm sending a link through the chat for everybody to sign up as a hiker if you're interested. It's going to be 8 hikes total. That's going to end at the end of June. And if you sign up to be a hiker, you're also going to need to collect pledges from your friends, family, co-workers. We recommend to ask for $5 to $10 per mile pledge. Total mileage of all 8 hikes is 45 miles. So the longest one, I think it's a 6.8 miles, the longest hike. So everybody welcome to join the action. And those of you who are not in a position to hike for so long and you walk in the parks or you do some other hiking that's suitable for your age and health condition, please sign up as well and get pledges, and people gonna pay for your miles, okay? So if you wanna hike in some other location, we'll take that too, okay? So we'll still take pledges per mile, and that will bring some money to the Escondido Rotary Foundation this year. And if you have any questions, you can email me at alexandra.sdms@gmail.com. That's my email, and I'm gonna answer your questions. Thank you, everybody.
And this is really exciting. This is kind of a fun, this is something fun and different. We've been challenged with how we're going to raise money for Vaughn's year. And this is an amazing idea. I think it gets us out. And if you attend the hikes that Alex is organizing, then we get to actually socialize a bit, which is fun. You get a laugh. I won't be here at this Saturdays, but you'll get a laugh at how winded I get going up a slight incline. And may even have to push me up a steeper incline, and that would be okay too. And we were just discussing they were just discussing this. Our Kit Carson Rotary Walking Club, you can participate in this as well. Take pictures, keep track of how many miles you walk, and get friends and family to pledge. It worked for years for multiple sclerosis. It worked for years for breast cancer research. There's no reason this can't work for us, and it takes some of the burden off of us as the fund, as donating all the money. Now we can actually ask our friends and family to help out. So I'm all excited about this one.
Can I also mention the teams? So we created 3 teams that you can join. So Nerd Herd, that's the people who gonna be responsible for the maps and apps. And the snack pack, people who are gonna have some extra snacks, who wanna bring extra snacks for other people in extra water. And we also have a team of a trail snail. Those are the people who hike in to make it, okay? We're not gonna rush you. So you're gonna take your time if you want to. So choose the group that is more suitable for you. If you like snacks, that's snack pack. If you like apps and maps, Nerd Herd.
Perfect. All right. Briefly, so Keith Rickenbacker is actually currently at the County Board of Supervisors meeting to talk to them about San Pasquale Academy.
President Andrew.
Oh, there you are. You're here.
Yeah,
Yay.
I just heard the vote on the County Board of Supervisors, and they voted 5-0 to extend San Pasquale Academy until June 30th next year. So they did buy some time. It's just wonderful news.
Yeah, that's so good for these kids.
Congratulations.
And it's just fabulous news. There were 27 speakers that came on. It's been going on since 9 o'clock this morning. So it's been a pretty lengthy meeting, 130 comments, I think, that came in. So there's tremendous public support and support from a lot of our club members. So thank you very much to all of you that's supported or signed that petition. It's very helpful. It's great news.
Nice. Thank you, Keith, for keeping that going at least through a school year. I mean, that was the worst part that I could see. At least we got through a school year and then we can push on from there.
It's wonderful news for the students. I'm sure they're all celebrating right now. So they got time. That's all they needed, is a little bit of time.
That's all they needed.
Thank you to all of you.
All right. So it's time for our fun song. Dr. Pasha, I hope you enjoy this. I know I enjoyed it.
Read this one before.
Yes, but this was just written specifically for you by our own Nick the Scotsman Sulis. And the song tune is Grossman on the Range.
Let's give her a hand. She's from Pakistan. Let's welcome this doctor from so far away. Her concern is so real, helps us through our ordeal, and improves our well-being every day. Care, care, and so kind. In the hospice or office or ER. When the going is tough and life is so rough, she gives us a healing seminar. A broad base of care, of that she can share. She's trained broadly in 3 specialties. She's super aware of palliative care and has a broad range of remedies. Care, care, and so kind. In the hospice or office or ER. When the going is tough and life is so rough, she gives us a healing seminar.
Nice. Thank you, Nick.
That was amazing. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Yes. Whoop. There's the lyrics. Okay. Dr. Moyer, would you like to introduce Dr. Pasha?
I would be delighted, President Andrew. Welcome, Sabia. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Sabia Pasha for our program today. She was educated at Dow Medical College in Karachi, Pakistan. interned in residency at Long Island College Hospital in New York, has certifications in internal medicine, hospice and palliative care, and integrative medicine. She's currently serving as the Chief of Staff at Palomar Medical Center, Escondido, elected by her colleagues and doing a great job. Has interests in reading, writing, painting, hiking, and another area of intersection. Her son is a third-year PhD candidate in astrophysics at Yale University. Great pleasure to have Dr. Pasha with us today.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Feel very welcomed. Am I sharing my screen now, Andy?
Yes, you may.
Okay. All right, here we go. And I'm hoping you guys can all see this, yes?
Not
No.
quite yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I can see Andrew's face.
Let's try this one.
So yeah, we go to the green button to share screen,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here
and
we
then
go. No?
then you select your PowerPoint. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
Look at that.
There now? All right.
Yes. Beautiful.
Awesome. So, so wonderful. Well, first of all, I mean, I just thank you, Doug. And Doug, if you saw the background, I'm sitting in your old office right now and totally channeling you here. So thank you so much. It is a joy and a pleasure for me to be here. And certainly I feel a warmth and a welcome from this group that I very don't often feel from groups. I think this is makes it especially important and fun for me, I think. What I'm going to talk to you about today is, of course, holistic health. So just a little, Doug told you my background, but I can tell you that I've been in practice for about 26 years. And the first 5 years were in primary care. I figured, that's what I wanted to do, and realized that I wasn't getting a satisfaction with the work I was doing as outpatient primary care. There were areas or there were issues that I felt like we were missing. So being the young person that I was and not knowing any better, I jumped ship and I went back to work in the hospital. I've spent the last 20 years working as a hospitalist in the Palomar Health District, Escondido and Poway. And that was closer to what I felt that, I was taking care of people, I was making people better. But there was two areas that I still realized that modern medicine had not really addressed. The first, of course, was palliative care. 20 years ago when I started and patients got super sick and they were in the hospital, there was nothing we were doing for them. There was no palliative care. And, we literally drag them through the whole ICU experience until, they're passing. And it was horrible. And it didn't sit right. And then palliative care came along 2005. And I jumped on that bandwagon, got my training, worked for hospice, got my certification. And that gives me great joy. I was one of the people involved in starting the palliative care program at Palomar Health. And we still have a program and it's better than ever. But the other area that I also noticed that there was a deficiency in the care was the chronic disease management. So people got high blood pressure and they were told you're going to need to take this medication for the rest of your life. They got diabetes. You're going to be a diabetic for the rest of your life. People were getting cancers, autoimmune disorders. Oh, you're going to have to treat that for the rest of your life. And so there was this whole, the diseases kept stacking up. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture. Why are people so sick and why can't we make them better? Why can't we heal anyone? And why is it that we just keep putting Band-Aids? And as a hospitalist, you get someone in, they have a heart attack, you put a few stents, Band-Aid out the door. 2 years later, they're back, another heart attack, another stent out the door. There's something that we weren't doing right. And that got me started into this whole arena of holistic care, looking for other answers and solutions. And that's kind of what I do now. I got this praise from Dr. Moyle. I'm very grateful for that. And that's my other area of interest now, and got my board certification in that field as well. So let's jump right in and let's talk about what holistic care is. I want to illustrate what I'm going to talk about with a real person. I'm not going to give names because some of you might know this person, but she works at our hospital. She is a nurse and she's in her late 50s. And what happened with her was ICU nurse, so she works nights, and then she went into days and started working days. But over the past 5, 6, 7 years, she started noticing that she had chronic fatigue. Her bodies were hurting, her hands were swollen, etc. And she ends up getting diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So that's an autoimmune disorder. So she goes, sees a rheumatologist and gets put on some heavy duty rheumatoid medications. And then she starts developing intolerances to those medications. So she takes them 1, 2, 3, after about the 4th or 5th medication, I think her rheumatologist got annoyed or didn't really want to try other new medications on her. And she was placed on prednisone. This is 2019, January of 2019. And within a month, she gained 40 pounds, really heavy and feeling miserable, more miserable than ever before. To the point that at the age of 58, she was thinking of retirement, but knew that she couldn't afford to retire because, the truth is that she wasn't retirement age. And so now what to do? And so she ends up seeing me. And so I started with her and approached her illness from the holistic perspective. And I, use the acronym SHINE. And here it is. That we look at these 5 determinants of areas of health and then try to see if we can plug it together. And what SHINE stands for, S stands for sleep, H stands for our hormone status, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about all of these things later. I stands for infection and inflammation, N for nutrition, and E for exercise. All right. So what about sleep? So sleep is the state that our body goes through where rest and restoration and healing can take place. So you can understand that if you're not resting and if you're not sleeping well, you are not going to get the rest and restoration that your body needs. You're not giving the body a chance to heal itself. It's also the time during which our immune system, our musculoskeletal system, nervous system, everything has a time to go. And it's kind of like being in a parasympathetic state and we'll talk about that in a little bit more, that you can actually enter a state while you're still awake to cause your body to go into healing mode. But really, nature designed us to sleep well. What is good enough? Like people sleep for several hours and some for 4, some for 7, some need 9 hours. So usually the amount of sleep that we need is 6 to 7 hours of good sleep. And the way you know that you're sleeping well is when you wake up and you're not tired. All right. They did a study and they were able to show that when people were sleeping well, they lived longer. So there was longevity associated with sleeping well. The next piece is the H of the SHINE, hormones. So we talk about several different hormones, but predominantly amongst them are cortisol, the hormone thyroxine, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, amongst others. And what are hormones? These are little tiny protein molecules that are produced by certain glands in our body, and they are integral to the functioning of our cells, our metabolism, our growth, repair. All functions of the body are literally being guided and manipulated by the hormones that are produced in our body. So you can see if any of the hormones are out of whack, then you're going to have a state of dis-ease or disease. You're going to get an illness. The next is inflammation, and that's where I wanted to get. So more and more what we're finding is that the root cause of chronic illness, all those conditions that I was frustrated about, that we were not healing and treating, were at the root of it is inflammation. And I'm talking about atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, strokes, heart attacks, autoimmune disorders, everything. So what happens is that there is an inflammation that goes on in the body. Now, inflammation in and of itself is not a bad thing. It is the normal way that our body responds to a harmful substance that it gets exposed to, whether that harmful substance is a virus or a bacteria, is an injury, or the toxins that we are surrounded by. Our body is supposed to do what it's doing. So inflammation is exactly the right thing our body is supposed to do. However, what is a problem is, so this is acute inflammation. So there's a fire and our body's immune system goes and, you know, with firefighting, and it puts out the inflammation, right? So acute inflammation is where we're supposed to be. So acute inflammation is typically, say, when you scratch your hand or scratch your body or hurt your body, the first thing you notice is there's pain, all right? And then with the pain comes a little bit of redness, and then you have some swelling associated with it, and it can last for a few hours to a few days. Your body comes in, heals up the whole process, and then the inflammation gets turned off. That's the way that the inflammation is supposed to be managed by the body. But look what happened here. The entire forest is down, it burned, and the firefighters are exhausted. That's the state of chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation is a state where the inflammatory response lingers. It doesn't get turned off appropriately. And there's several different reasons why it doesn't get turned off appropriately, which we will go into in a little bit. But the symptoms are subtler. You think that you are over the illness or over the thing. Well, what are you feeling? You're going to feel fatigue. You may have these you have a fever. You may end up with some mouth sores. You may have, rashes after taking some foods, but you really don't know what is causing your rash. You may have these vague abdominal pains, chest pains, and a brain fog. All right. And so you just don't know what it is. And you go to the doctor and your doctor doesn't know what it is either. And so you smolder. So you can see that now your body is smoldering and the inflammation is not getting turned off. And these can be mild, where you tend to ignore them. When they get more severe, such as the case with Anne, you end up with a full-blown inflammatory disorder or an illness. So causes for chronic inflammation, why is it that sometimes our inflammatory response didn't get shut off at the right time? And so it could be that there is a chronic infection. So very often gingivitis, and Dr. Moyer, you know this in cardiology, that gingivitis is one of the reasons why people get heart attacks, believe it or not. So that's just a chronic inflammation, that strep bacteria that enters the circulation and causes an inflammation, makes the plaques unstable, and boom, you have a heart attack. Who would have thunk that, right, from your mouth? Chronic teeth infection, people who go around with their teeth hurting and they don't take care of it. Women get recurrent urinary tract infections. You can have candida infection, fever blisters, you name it. We could be living with inflammation and infection in our body, and that's not been treated, and so leads to chronic inflammation. Untreated injury. So, there's people like, you have a fracture and the bones didn't set right, and they're just grinding and they're grinding and they're grinding. And areas like that, you can end up with bone cancer. People who have chronic acid reflux, continuing to throw that acid up into the esophagus, constant burn eventually turns into what? Cancer, right? Those are all states of chronic injury that are not being addressed and not being taken care of. And then long-term exposure to irritants, chemicals, pollutions, alcohol, smoking, all of that. So, but what I have found in my practice, the biggest cause of chronic inflammation is chronic stress. All right, let me go into that a little bit. So what is stress? Stress is the physiological response to a perceived threat. So what does our body do? Here is something happening over here. Your mind perceives this as a threat. So on a scale of 0 to 10, it gives it a charge, a 10. Oh my God, life is in danger. So that mind now tells your brain, the hypothalamus, to tell your adrenal glands, fight, flight response. And so what happens is your body produces this outburst of adrenaline. Now, in most situations, that adrenaline, that the tiger goes away, or the proverbial tiger is gone, and your stress reaction should turn off. But it doesn't, because everything in our life is so stressful now. So we are in this state of constant stress, unmitigated stress. We keep everything at 10, everything at 10, everything at 10. And so, before long, our adrenal glands are like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have enough adrenaline. You enter the stage 2 of stress. And that is when your adrenal glands now start producing cortisol. Now, remember what I said about the hormones being out of whack? Well, here's a hormone that goes out of whack. When your cortisol levels start going up, the first thing that happens, because our abdominal fat is studded with cortisol receptors, we gain this belly. All right. So when I see a belly on someone, I know that this person has been under stress. We call it the metabolic syndrome for the same reason, because that increased cortisol does a number of other different things. It causes, and I've got those written down over there, it goes into your thyroid hormone and reduces the production of thyroxine. So you become hypothyroid. And you didn't know, you just went to your doctor and somebody gave you a thyroid pill to take. But nobody asked, well, why did your thyroid become sluggish? It became sluggish because you were living under stress. The thyroid goes down, and then what happens to the female hormones? So the ovaries produce methylpregnenolone, which is a precursor hormone that can be used to make several different hormones. But if your body is under stress, your body will make the emergency molecule, cortisol and adrenaline, and will ignore estrogen and progesterone. So what ends up happening is pregnenolone steal syndrome, it's called, and you don't make enough progesterone. Women will have an estrogen dominant cycle, and all of the things that go along with it, along with the increased risk for breast cancer, increased risk for ovarian cancer, and blah, blah, go down the road with that. In men, they're not immune from this. So what happens is that methylpregnenolone goes to produce cortisol, and guess who has to suffer? Testosterone. Testosterone levels go down, decrease libido, decrease sexual function, and they say, oh, I'm just growing old. That's what people say. And they accept it. They accept that it's okay, that all of this that's happening to them is kind of okay. So you're gaining weight, your immune system is in the toilet, you're sleeping poorly, your gut becomes leaky, you're absorbing particles, undigested food particles from your leaky gut, and your body is fighting and fighting and fighting, and all of this fire is being produced in your body. All right. So, and eventually, when the adrenal glands can't produce enough cortisol anymore, you will get to that stage 2 if you are under chronic stress. That's when you have chronic adrenal fatigue. And it's in that stage where you are tired all the time, exhausted all the time, and you may end up in a state of depression and chronic pain. Because again, a good functioning adrenal gland is necessary for pain relief. All right. So that was a big chunk. You can see why that is at the core of everything. And then the last 2, which people think that's the main thing about health. Oh, eat right. Oh, exercise. You're going to be healthy. Well, not so much, right? I just put that whole pyramid upside down. And so what about food? All right. So I'm looking at the clock. In a nutshell, for food, eat whole food, not food that's been processed. What is whole food? Whole food is food that has not been processed, depleted, changed, preservatives added, etc. So that's the whole concept of eating well. And so I tell people is to, when you go into the grocery store, You just do the periphery of the grocery store, go by the walls, and you can see when you go by the walls, you have the produce at first, you can have the eggs, and the meats are in the back, and then you go to come out the front end and you have the bakery, and that's okay. Everything else in the middle of the grocery store is not whole food. It's in cans, it's in boxes, it's got ingredients in it that are not good for you. So a good rule of thumb is you pick up something, and if you can't pronounce what's on the label, don't eat it. All right. Small size does matter. So eating, again, how much you eat, the quantity that you eat matters. And so I use the fist rule. So the size of your protein should be the size of your palm. The size or the amount of grain should be a fistful of grain. So whether it is, equivalent of rice, quinoa, or whatever it is that you're eating. And the amount of fat in your diet would be the size of your thumb, all here. Now, why are we eating so much? Again, that comes back down to stress. We eat because we are feeling exhausted and tired all the time. So we think if we eat a little bit more, we're going to get some energy, right? So it's that chronic stress that's driving our need to eat more and more and more. We don't drink enough water. And water is, I get patients and they tell me, I don't like the taste of water. Water doesn't have a taste. Water is odorless and tasteless. It's good for you. You got to at least drink 4 to 8 ounces of water a day. And then this is another concept or piece that I have found very useful in my own life, and I advocate for it. Some people call it intermittent fasting. I don't call it that. What I'm saying is that give your body a good 12 hours of no eating, meaning no need to process food. Give it a break every day. So if you have dinner early, 5 or 6 p.m., and you have to get up in the morning and you have breakfast 5 or 6, that's kind of like my routine, because that's the way I go. That gives me 12 hours where my body did not have to digest food at all. It gives you a chance to wind down and feel healthy. And every once in a while, if you skip the breakfast in the morning and you give yourself 16 hours without food, that's even better for the body. The body needs a little break every once in a while. And so giving yourself that time, just doing that sometimes helps you lose weight, if that's what the goal is. Don't hurry through food. Again, here's the stressful eating again. You're sitting, you're grabbing while you're on the computer doing it. I do it too. It's not that I'm not immune, and that's why I know that we all do these things. Take your time. This is the time to eat. This is your relationship with the food, and you want the food to be healthy for you. Give yourself time. If you spend a good 20 minutes eating, or even eating with a friend, company is even better. You will digest the food better, and you will eat less, and it's going to be better for you. I always say a spoonful, literally a spoon or a forkful of fermented food once daily. It's got enough probiotics in it. You don't need to take expensive pills. So sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, yogurt, dark chocolate, anything above 72% cocoa, all of those things are good enough to help restore the microbiome, because the bacteria in the gut is what's necessary to heal that leaky gut that the stress is causing. So we gotta, add that to our diet. And then I say, have fun with the vegetables. So you can just raw vegetables. You can make your own little smoothies, and it doesn't have to be a big production. So a handful of salad, I drink my salads now because it's just so much more fun. A handful of mixed greens, put them in your little blender, and you can add a little tiny apple, or you can add half a beet, you can add carrots, grapes, whatever you want. Just put it in there, mix up the flavor, and drink it. It is a really good detox, along with the fact that it gives you all of the vitamins. Cooking kills the vitamins out of your fruits and vegetables. Eating them raw like that, or drinking them raw, even better. Like you get your soluble fiber, so all of the fiber from the fruit and vegetables, you get that once a day. You have a good serving of that. and just play with it and see, you know, what flavors you like, and just have fun, mix different things, just make it a fun thing to do. And if you eat like that, you don't need any additional vitamins or nutrients to supplement it with. So and again, it's not that easy to put this together. What about exercise? So when you are chronically stressed, the last place you want to start is with exercise. You really have to make sure that you've got all of these other 5 elements in place before you start pushing yourself, because when you're chronically fatigued, exercise is going to make you even more tired. So you need to restore yourself before you exercise. Well, what are the components of exercise? So there's strength, there's balance, and there's flexibility, right? Those are the 3 things you have to look for. We've done some studies showing that, and this was from out of Japan, you know, they talk about the little watch and the 10,000 steps per day and what have you. Oh, it turns out for women, it's only 4,500 steps. So it's not that much. And so if you do 4,500 steps, those women were actually living longer and were doing better health-wise. They have not repeated that study in men yet, so I cannot report on that. Strength and training. So again, making sure any kind of resistance exercise helps to keep your bones strong, prevent osteoporosis. Stretching, again, super important. That brings you flexibility, and balance training again helps prevent falls. And when you really look at this, I mean, all aspects of it, yoga would be an excellent way to get all of those things in. You do your stretches in the yoga. You are doing resistance training where you're using your own body for the resistance and balance. So that's a key for any of these modalities, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's a gazillion exercises out there. As long as those components are met, you can be sure that your body is going to be in a balanced, healthy state. And above all, so that's the one that I marked at the end, is avoid prolonged inactivity. So right now we've already been in this chair for about an hour. So for every hour that we sit in a chair, we need to get up and walk about 2 minutes. And so, you know, and that's just a good rule of thumb. Just get up, go to the bathroom, come back, 2 minutes gone, right? But sitting in a chair nonstop all day is not good for us. So going back to Anne's story, and Anne's not her real name, so I have to make sure, you know, cognitively remember not to say the real name. So what was going on with Anne? So what about sleep? She's an RN. She's doing some night shifts. She's doing some day shifts. It's all over the place. She has no circadian rhythm. She doesn't sleep well. She gets up exhausted and tired, and she's done that for 25 years. So clearly the S was gone. Hormones. So of course, she's an RN. She works in the ICU. Severe stress. Stress led to hypothyroidism, led to her inflammation in her body, which caused her to have rheumatoid arthritis and chronic infections. And then, of course, she goes to menopause, and all of that gets, you know, amplified. And no time to exercise, that's for sure, and eating horrible food, you know. And so there you have it. You had the raw material to turn Anne into this ball of inflammation. Again, not with the interest of bragging, but within 3 months on no medication. Now you have to understand that I do use herbs, and I gave her a ton of turmeric. It's not rocket science, but within 3 months without any medications, her inflammation was improved. Another 3 months later, her rheumatologist declared that her rheumatoid arthritis was in remission. She's back to work. She's working full time. She's taken on some leadership roles in the hospital, and she's doing great. It can be reversed. I guess the take home is that it's not a foregone conclusion that because you have high blood pressure now that you will always have high blood pressure, and you will always need to peel that onion and to understand, well, why did I get high blood pressure? Well, what am I doing in my life that's causing my blood pressure to go up? What am I eating that's causing my blood pressure to go up? And why am I not exercising? All of that, it needs to be taken in that context. And then this one, of course, brings in my other piece. I do, I call my care is mind, body, energy. And what is energy? Energy is our vibrancy, our state. I mean, people can call it chi, Reiki, whatever you want to call it. I say it's our spirit. It is that which keeps us alive, and it's that component of us that we are all about. So when you talk about health, the first thing I ask people, well, what do you want it for anyway? Well, why do you want to be healthy? Oh, I want to live. Okay, how long do you want to live? Like, like why do you want to live? What are you doing? What are you doing that you want to live, right? Oh, for my children. Oh, I need more energy, vibrancy. So it brings you to this whole concept of purpose, right? So, and I've found that across the board, when I see people, and whether it's in my role as palliative care physician, or it's in my role as a hospitalist, or in my integrative office, there's literally just three things that that is common to all of us, and that's what we want from life. And that's love, connection, and purpose, right? And so when we understand that this is the one thing that joins us all, no matter where we come from, no matter who we are, no matter what stage of our life we are in, it can then make you understand why you want a healthy, when you do need a healthy body to be doing your purpose, right? So all of us have our own unique purposes in life. So recognizing what that purpose is gives you the sense of direction of where you're really wanting to go. And then with that direction, well, you need a healthy body. You don't want to, crawl to that goal. You want to run to that goal. And so you will better take care of it, because I find that human beings, if you don't have a reason for doing something, you ain't gonna do it. So you have to be very, very clear in your mind why you need your health. And then when you know what that reason is, you can go after it. And I want to conclude with a quote, and I think it goes along with the poem that was read earlier today. And I was smiling because I was going to end my talk with this whole concept of choice. So Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, you've all read that. This particular quote of his changed my life. This was maybe 15 years ago. And I was dealing with stress and burnout. I'm a single mom, raising a kid, running a life, and all these purposes that I had to get to, and what have you. But what he said was, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our choice. And in that choice, the choice that we make in that space, lies our growth and freedom. Once again, in between stimulus and response, there is a space. We don't give ourselves that space. But if we take that time and we give ourselves that space, we have a choice. And the choice we make in that space about how we want to respond to that stressor, is it always a 10? Or is this perhaps just a 3 or just a 4? And then if you dial that down, the minute you turn that down, the perception of this stress, you turn it from a 10 to a 3, your body just goes, whoop, the whole thing, the whole tension goes down. And in closing, I'm going to say, so one of my patients, I was teaching her this, and, and I get an excited call from her like half an hour after she leaves the office. And she said, it works. I said, what works? She got home and she drove into her garage, opened the door, and there was a snake. She said, my initial reaction was, oh my God, 10, like stress, full on stress reaction. And then she said, wait, I just learned something, like time out. Is this snake really a 10? And she looked, and it didn't have a rattler, and it was a benign snake. And she still didn't like the snake. And then the snake slithered away. And so she gave it a 3. And the minute she gave it a 3, she like, whoosh, the stress was gone, was gone. And she felt better. So that's it. That's literally all we have to do. But we have to become conscious and cognizant of doing that over and over and over again until we rewire our brain The first time it's going to take a little work. The second time it's going to be easier. The third time it'll become automatic. And that's all I want to say. I'll stop here for questions.
Perfect. Real quick, I am going to officially close the meeting, but if you can stick around for about a minute or two and take questions. And I just want to tell you that my big takeaway from this was that I need a much bigger spoon for my dark chocolate. And so I appreciate your endorsement of dark chocolate as a probiotic.
That's good.
All right, I'm going to officially close the meeting, but we will be able to, Jay, I see you, and I think we can take a couple of questions, but let me just because we're talking process here. So our shower thought of the week, there's very different versions of you living within the minds of others. Wonder how different they all are. So we'll ring the bell out, and then Jay, you can ask your question. Go ahead, Jay.
That was a wonderful talk. I just finished reading Sanjay Gupta's Keep Sharp, and you are right on the money. And his book is everything you just said. He talks about the 5 pillars, about movement, about discovery, about sleep, about nutrition, and about connectivity, which you basically touched on as well. And I would recommend that book for other people who haven't read it. Everything in moderation, and that was a very fine talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I would say, Jay, probably Sanjay got it right from Dr. Pasha.
Okay.
Maybe.
Everything in moderation except chocolate, Andy?
Yeah, that right? On the size of that spoon. I want to see that spoon.
I'm just saying,
Wow.
I mean, I don't have a problem with sauerkraut or yogurt, but if I could do chocolate, yeah. Dark chocolate, 78% dark. Anyone else have questions for our wonderful
Yeah, Andrew,
Dr.
hey,
Pasha?
this is Roy Henderson. Yeah, doctor, yeah, your presentation was great. Hey, I've got 2 questions, if you don't mind. First one is, earlier in your presentation, you talk about people chronically getting on medications they're destined to stay on for the rest of their lives. Now, one thing I have a question about is, I know a lot of those medications address ailments that have been redefined in the last 30 years. They redefine what it is to have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol. And so because of this redefinition, a lot of people are put on medications that they would not have been put on in 1990. What are your thoughts on that? And my other question is about autoimmune medications. You talked about rheumatoid arthritis. And what made me think about that, I remember this guy, Glenn Fry from the band The Eagles. He died at age 67. He was on autoimmune medication for rheumatoid arthritis, got pneumonia, couldn't fight off the pneumonia because of the suppressed immune system, and died.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could comment on both of those.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing that you're touching upon is this concept of industry that is redefining the threshold for what is defined as high blood pressure, what is defined as high sugar, etc. And there's, of course, that whole process going along. And I mean, I have my own opinions and beliefs about that. But I think what is even more important, though, is I'm talking about someone who really, truly has an elevated blood pressure, right? So is that person destined to always have a high blood pressure? So you give them a pill. And then, of course, if you don't fix the reason why they had the high blood pressure, they will end up being on that blood pressure medicine forever. So going back to, this concept of asking why did this person, what about this person is causing them to have a high blood pressure? What is their risk factor of cardiovascular disease? But I think what you're talking about is this whole concept that industry and pharmaceutical industry has gone out and changed the definition of what is right and what is wrong and where the threshold is. And so let's lower the threshold. Do you know that there's really been no studies done on primary prevention of heart attacks and strokes? So if you have never had a heart attack or a stroke and your blood and your cholesterol is high, you get put on a statin, but there is really no study showing that that actually helps. But it's an extrapolation that, it helps for people who have a high who had the stroke or the heart attack that we give them a statin. So if it helped them, well, it'll help these people too. And as a result of that, the entire population of the United States gets put on a statin. That's a problem to me. I mean, I think those are the things that I think looking at things from with a cognitive opinion is definitely important. And yes, I think with the autoimmune disorder, it is my belief, and I've said that in my talk, our body is not fighting us. Autoimmune is defined as our body attacking our own cells. Our body is doing what it is meant to do. It is fighting something, and that something has to be removed so it'll stop fighting. Does that make sense? So sometimes it's a chronic herpetic infection. For example, someone had mononucleosis as a child or something like that. So they have a chronic inflammation in the body, and turning off that inflammation will turn off your immune system. But giving you medication that suppress your immune system, prevent you from fighting a real invader, like a bacterial pneumonia that you're talking about, your friend, and that ends up dying because of that, that's exactly the problem. We're not looking at it the right way. We are not doing a good job with looking at chronic disease and chronic illness. And for some reason, we have given up on this concept of healing, that our body can heal itself if you create the right environment. And in my practice, I see it over and over again. I take people off medications, I turn back the clock for them, and it works. So I'm all for that.
Okay, great. Oh yeah, I also thought during this whole coronavirus mess, last thing people want to do is take medications that suppress their immune system and make them more susceptible to disease.
Yeah, well, so it's interesting you say that. So I have my take on the whole coronavirus thing. So the coronavirus is a coronavirus, but there are people who have a mild case of the disease, same virus, and some people who have this horrendous cytokine storm that is landing them in the ICU and that is killing them, right? And so again, I find that when you are chronically stressed and your adrenal glands are not functioning the way they're supposed to, your guardrails or your immune reaction is not well controlled. And so you overreact or you underreact. And that's what's happening to these people. And that's why some people are having such, and it goes same thing for the vaccine. I took the vaccine and had issues with the vaccine, right? So I think some people are reacting to the vaccine and some people are not reacting. What is it about their body that makes people be different this way? And I really do think it's that underlying health of the immune system that's and coronavirus has really demonstrated that so unfortunately, horrendously, but so clearly how important a good healthy immune system needs to be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great program.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. Great program. Dara, thank you again for doing such great work this year, bringing good programs too. Yay.
Thanks, Sabia.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you
Goodbye.
very, very much.
Bye.
And we'll see you all next week. And Dr. Pasha, I hope we'll see you again soon too. Oh, she clicked out. That was fast. All right, folks. You guys have a great week. See you all next Tuesday.